There is an ancient legend that says that alchemists sought to transform base metals into gold, but the true secret of alchemy was never in the crucibles or the furnaces. It was in the human soul. Alchemy was not just a material practice, it was a spiritual journey, a path to transmute chaos into order, pain into wisdom. And today I want to invite you to embark on that same journey, not to turn lead into gold, but to convert your emotional pain into strength. Maybe you're going through a crisis. Maybe it's a career change, a divorce, the loss of a loved one, or even just that overwhelming feeling that something is missing in your life. Whatever the case, you're not alone. We all, at some point, face moments of darkness and uncertainty. And it's in those moments that we can discover the transformative power of emotional alchemy. This idea was explored in depth by Carl Jung, one of the greatest thinkers in modern psychology. For Jung, emotional crises were not just obstacles. They were opportunities for growth. He saw pain as an essential part of the process of individuation, the path to becoming who we truly are. Rather than running away from pain, Jung taught us to immerse ourselves in it, to understand it, to transform it. And that's exactly what we're going to explore here. In this video, we will use the metaphors of alchemy to understand how emotional crises can be the starting point for something extraordinary. We will uncover how chaos can become clarity, how suffering can transform into purpose. Because deep down, each of us carries within us the potential to emerge stronger and wiser from our most difficult experiences. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is a great time to make sure you don't miss out on future content. Each video here is designed to help you reflect, transform, and evolve. Just click the subscribe button below. Ready? Great. Now, let's get back to our journey. If you're ready to embrace your crises not as failures but as invitations to grow, then this is the place to be. Together we'll learn how to transform our pain into strength, using the ancient wisdom of alchemy and the teachings of Jung. And when we reach the end of this journey, you'll have a new perspective on your emotional crises, not as something to fear, but as something to embrace. But before we move forward, we need to better understand the problem many face during these transitions, because only when we recognize pain for what it is can we begin to transform it. Every emotional crisis begins with a moment of rupture. It can be something sudden, like the news of an unexpected divorce or the loss of a loved one, or something more gradual, like the growing sense that your career no longer has meaning. Whatever the origin, the impact is always the same. An overwhelming sense that everything you knew and trusted has fallen apart. Imagine someone who has spent years building a relationship only to see it fall apart, or someone who has invested decades in a career but now finds themselves unemployed with no idea where to start over. These situations can seem insurmountable. The pain is intense, the future is uncertain, and we often feel completely lost. But why does this happen? Because these crises are not just external events, they touch something much deeper within us. They challenge our beliefs, our identities, and even our sense of purpose. When we lose something significant, whether it's a person, a job, or a phase of our life, we are in fact facing the loss of a part of ourselves. And it's precisely this loss that makes the process so painful. The problem, however, is not the pain itself. Pain is inevitable. The real problem arises when we try to avoid it, ignore it, or stifle it. Many people turn to distractions, overwork, social media, excessive consumption, in an attempt to escape the discomfort. But what happens when we do this? The pain doesn't go away. It simply builds up, becoming even heavier and harder to deal with. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The more we try to avoid the pain, the more it intensifies. And this is where many people get stuck, in a cycle of suffering, unable to see that the solution is not to run away, but to face the crisis head-on. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that light begins with recognizing that pain is not your enemy. In fact, it can be your greatest ally. But before we get there, we need to understand how. Emotional alchemy can help us transform this chaos into clarity, because just as ancient alchemists transformed raw metals into gold, so too can we transmute our pain into wisdom. Before we move on, I would like to ask you a favor. If you can relate to what I've said so far, please like this video. This will help me reach more people who may be going through the same journey as you. It will also motivate me to continue creating content that can make a difference in your life. Just click the like button below. Ready? Great. Now let's explore how the alchemical metaphor can illuminate your path. The alchemical metaphor alchemy is much more than an ancient practice of material transformation. For alchemists, it was a spiritual journey, a symbolic process of purification and renewal. They believed that just as metals could be transmuted into gold, so too could the human soul be refined and elevated to a higher state. This insight fascinated Carl Jung, who saw in alchemy a powerful metaphor for personal and emotional growth. Jung interpreted the stages of alchemy as reflections of the stages we go through during times of crisis and transformation. He called this the process of individuation, the path to becoming who we truly are. According to Jung, each alchemical phase represents an essential part of this inner journey, and this is where the beauty of emotional alchemy comes in. It offers us a map to navigate the turbulent waters of emotional crisis. Let's explore together the three main alchemical stages, Nigredo, Albedo, and Rubedo, and understand how they apply to our emotional life. Nigredo, the moment of darkness. The first phase of alchemy is known as Nigredo, or the black phase. It is the time of chaos, destruction, and symbolic death. For the alchemists, it was the stage where raw materials were broken down to their most basic state. In our emotional life, Nigredo is the phase when everything seems to fall apart. It is when we feel lost, confused, and completely immersed in pain. Think of someone who has just lost their job. Perhaps they have dedicated years of their life to their career, building an identity around it. When that identity is taken away, a profound void appears. This void is the Nigredo, the moment when we are confronted with our fragility and vulnerability. It is painful, yes, but it is also necessary. Without the destruction of the old, there is no room for the new. The key here is to accept Nigredo for what it is, an inevitable phase of the process. We cannot skip this stage, but we can learn to move through it with awareness. Instead of resisting the pain, we need to allow it to exist. It is like the crucible in the alchemical laboratory. It contains the fire and chaos, but it is also the place where transformation begins. Albedo, the purification process. After the darkness of Nigredo comes Albedo, or the white. This is the phase of purification and reflection. For the alchemists, it was the time to wash away the decomposed materials, eliminating impurities. In the emotional life, Albedo represents the process of introspection, that moment when we begin to reflect on what has happened and what it means for us. During Albedo, we started asking important questions. What does this crisis reveal about me? What parts of me need to be healed or integrated? What can I learn from this experience? This phase can be difficult because it requires self-honesty. This is where we face our shadows, those parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. But it's also where we find the first signs of clarity. As we begin to understand the meaning of the crisis, the pain begins to lose its intensity. It transforms into something different, an invitation to grow. Rubedo, the final transmutation. Finally, we come to Rubedo, or the red one. This is the culminating phase of alchemy, where gold is finally produced. For the alchemists, it was the moment when all the purified elements came together, in harmony. In emotional life, Rubedo represents renewed emergence, the point at which we emerge from the crisis stronger, wiser, and aligned with our purpose. At Rubedo, pain is no longer an unbearable burden. It has become a source of strength. Maybe you lost a relationship, but now you can see more clearly the kind of love you truly desire. Or maybe you were laid off, but now you're ready to pursue a new passion. Rubedo is the moment when we realize that the crisis was not just a loss. It was an opportunity to rebuild our lives in a more authentic way. To illustrate these stages, imagine someone who has gone through a devastating divorce. During Nigredo, this person may feel anger, sadness, and hopelessness. In Albedo, they begin to reflect on what went wrong in the relationship and what it teaches them about their own emotional patterns. Finally, in Rubedo, they emerge with a new perspective on love and relationships, and perhaps even a renewed sense of independence and self-worth. This cycle, chaos, reflection, renewal, is universal. We all go through it at some point in our lives, and this is where the power of emotional alchemy lies. It gives us a framework for understanding and embracing this process. But how do you put this into practice? How do you apply these alchemical steps to your own life? In the next chapter, we'll explore step by step how you can use these tools to transform your emotional crises into opportunities for growth. Because theory is important, but action is what really changes your life. Now that we understand the alchemical stages, Nigredo, Albedo, and Rubedo, it's time to put this wisdom into practice. After all, theory only makes sense when applied to real life. So how can we use these tools to transform our emotional crises into strength and purpose? Let's explore each stage with practical suggestions that you can start implementing today. Step 1. Accept Nigredo. The first step in transformation is to accept pain for what it is. This may sound simple, but in practice it is one of the most challenging steps. Often our natural tendency is to resist pain or try to avoid it. However, as we have seen, Nigredo is inevitable and even necessary. Without it, there is no room for renewal. One practical way to embrace Nigredo is to keep a journal. Writing about your emotions can be incredibly powerful because it allows you to externalize them and examine them more clearly. Don't worry about writing something right or perfect. The goal here is to simply express how you feel without judgment. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What thoughts are popping up repeatedly? What does this crisis reveal about me? This writing process helps bring light to the chaos. It also serves as a record of your emotions, allowing you to see patterns and connections that you might not have noticed before. Most importantly, it gives you permission to feel. Remember, pain is not something to be fought. It is an invitation to dive deeper into yourself. Step 2. Log in to Albedo. Once you have accepted Nigredo, it is time to move on to Albedo, the process of purification and reflection. This is the phase where we begin to make sense of the chaos. The key here is to cultivate self-awareness and seek deep insights into who you are and what truly matters to you. A powerful practice during Albedo is to ask guiding questions. These questions help direct your reflection and access valuable insights. Some suggestions include, what has this crisis taught me about my beliefs and values? What parts of me were hurt or ignored during this process? How can I integrate these parts to become more whole? Additionally, techniques like meditation and therapy can be extremely helpful at this stage. Meditation provides a space to observe your emotions without reacting to them, while therapy provides professional support to explore deeper issues. If you've never tried meditation, start with just 5 minutes a day. Sit quietly, close your eyes and notice your breathing. When thoughts arise, simply observe them without judgment and return your attention to your breathing. This simple exercise can help you create mental and emotional clarity. Another important practice during Albedo is to identify the meaning behind the crisis. Ask yourself, what lesson is this experience trying to teach me? How can I use this to grow as a person? This shift in perspective, from seeing the crisis as a punishment to seeing it as an opportunity, is critical to moving to the next phase. Step 3. Emerge into Rubedo. Finally, we reach Rubedo, the culmination of the journey. This is where transformation takes place. During Rubedo, you begin to act on the lessons learned and rebuild your life in a way that is more authentic and aligned with your purpose. One practical way to implement Rubedo is to set small daily goals. These goals don't have to be grandiose. In fact, the smaller the better. The important thing is that they are meaningful to you. For example, if you're going through a divorce, one goal might be to spend 15 minutes a day on activities that build your self-esteem, like reading an inspirational book or exercising. If you've changed careers, a goal might be to dedicate an hour a day to learning new skills related to your new field. These small actions add up over time, creating a solid foundation for your new life. They also help rebuild your confidence and sense of control. Another crucial part of Rubedo is sharing your wisdom with others. Perhaps you learned something valuable during your crisis that could help someone else who is going through a similar situation. Sharing your story not only benefits others, but it also reinforces your own transformation. Consider writing a blog, recording videos, or simply talking to friends who may be struggling. A practical example. To illustrate these steps, imagine someone who has been laid off after years of working at a company. During Nigredo, this person may feel lost and insecure. At Albedo, she begins to reflect on what she really wants in her career and what her deepest values are. Finally, at Rubedo, she decides to pursue a new passion, perhaps starting her own business or changing careers entirely. Every small action she takes during Rubedo, from learning new skills to building a network, brings her closer to her new life. Remember, Rubedo doesn't mean all the pain is gone. It means you've found ways to integrate that pain into your journey and use it as fuel for growth. And that's an extraordinary achievement. Before we move on to the next chapter, I'd like to ask for your help again. If this content is touching something inside you, if you're starting to see your pain in a new light, please give this video a like. It motivates me to keep creating content that can make a difference in your life. Plus, every like helps this video reach more people who may need these tools right now. Just click the like button below. Done? Great. Now let's explore the benefits of this emotional transformation and how it can change your life forever. We've reached a crucial point in our journey, exploring the real benefits of emotional alchemy and how it can transform your life in profound and lasting ways. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about surviving emotional crises, it's about emerging from them stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. The emotional benefit, strength, and resilience. When we embrace pain as part of the growth process, something magical happens. We begin to develop an inner strength that once seemed unattainable. This strength isn't just about enduring more hardship, it's about learning to see crises as opportunities to grow. Each time we weather an emotional storm and come out intact, or even better on the other side, we strengthen our resilience. And that resilience becomes an invaluable resource in all aspects of life. Imagine someone who has experienced a devastating loss. At first, the pain seems unbearable. But as they embrace Nigredo, reflect on Albedo, and rebuild on Rubedo, they begin to realize that the loss was not just an ending, it was also an invitation to rediscover the value of life. Perhaps they learn to prioritize relationships, cultivate gratitude, or seek deeper meaning in their existence. These lessons not only help them overcome the current crisis, but also prepare them to face future challenges with greater wisdom and courage. Promised transformation, pain, converted into purpose. But the true power of emotional alchemy goes beyond strength and resilience. It lies in the ability to convert pain into purpose. When you transform your most difficult experiences into something constructive, you create a legacy, both for yourself and for others. And that purpose can manifest itself in many ways. For example, consider Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and survivor of Nazi concentration camps. During his imprisonment, he experienced unspeakable horrors. Yet, it was in this darkness that he discovered the deepest meaning of life, finding purpose even in the most desperate situations. He later wrote Man's Search for Meaning, a book that has inspired millions of people around the world. His personal pain has become a beacon of hope for others facing profound crises. You can do it too. Maybe your emotional crisis will lead you to change careers and start working on something that really matters to you. Or maybe you'll decide to use your experience to help others who are facing similar situations. Whatever the path, the transformation promised by emotional alchemy is clear. Your pain can become a source of wisdom and positive impact. An inspiring testimony. To further illustrate this transformation, I want to share a true story that touched me deeply. A few years ago, I met a woman named Clara, not her real name. She was successful in her corporate career, but she felt a growing emptiness. After a difficult divorce, she decided to drop everything and dedicate herself to art, something she had always loved but never had the courage to pursue. At first, it was scary. She struggled with doubts, fears, and financial hardships, but over time, Clara began to see her art as a way to express her deepest emotions. Today, she not only makes a living from her passion, but also leads workshops to help others find creativity amidst the chaos. Clara is a clear example of how pain can be transmuted into gold. Her emotional crisis not only led her to a new career, but also to a greater purpose, inspiring others to follow their dreams no matter the circumstances. The final promise, you can shine. 2. If there's one thing I'd like you to take away from this chapter, it's this. The pain you're feeling right now doesn't have to define you. It can be the fuel for extraordinary transformation, but it depends on a choice. The choice to view the crisis not as an obstacle, but as an invitation to grow. You have already taken the first steps in understanding the alchemical steps and how to apply them to your life. Now it is time to move forward with confidence. Remember, gold is not born ready. It is shaped by fire. Likewise, your strength, wisdom, and purpose emerge from the flames of your most painful experiences. And when you get to the other side of this journey, you will look back and realize something incredible. What once seemed unbearable was actually the catalyst for your greatest transformation. In the next chapter, we'll take the final step, a clear call to action. We'll discuss how you can start putting these teachings into practice today and ensure your transformation continues to expand. Because the journey doesn't end here, it's just beginning. We have reached the most important moment of this journey. What will you do from now on? Because at the end of the day, all the knowledge in the world is only valuable when put into practice. And this is where your emotional transformation truly begins. The first step, accept where you are. If there's one thing I hope has become clear to you by now, it's that there's nothing wrong with feeling pain. In fact, it's a sign that something inside you is crying out for attention. And that attention can be the starting point for a richer, more meaningful life. So the first step is simple. Accept where you are right now. Don't try to rush the process or pretend that everything is okay when it's not. Instead, give yourself permission to feel, reflect, and begin to heal. A practical suggestion for taking this first step is to set aside a few minutes today to write about how you're feeling. It doesn't have to be long, just a few sentences will do. Ask yourself, where am I now emotionally? What are the biggest difficulties I am facing? What can I do today to take care of myself? This little exercise may seem simple, but it has the power to create clarity and open space for transformation. The second step, seek support. Another essential step is to seek support. Turning pain into strength doesn't have to and shouldn't be a lonely journey. Whether it's talking to trusted friends, seeking therapy, or joining a support group, sharing your experience can speed your healing and provide new perspectives. Remember, asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's an act of courage. Additionally, consider investing in resources that can help you on this journey. Books on self-awareness, guided meditations, or personal development courses can be powerful. Tools to deepen your transformation. Explore what resonates with you and move forward with intention. The third step, set daily goals. Finally, start setting small daily goals that will move you closer to the life you want to build. Maybe it's spending 15 minutes a day practicing gratitude. Maybe it's learning a new skill or reconnecting with an old passion. The important thing is that these goals are meaningful to you and align with the purpose you're beginning to discover. Remember that pain is not your final destination. It is merely the starting point for something greater. When you embrace the alchemical process, accepting nigredo, reflecting in albedo, and emerging in rubedo, you will discover that you are capable of transforming any crisis into an opportunity. And that is a superpower. So what are you waiting for? Get started today. Take the first step, no matter how small. And know that by doing so, you are moving closer to a stronger, wiser, more authentic version of yourself. We have reached the end of this journey, but your journey is just beginning. Remember that the pain you feel today can be the fuel for the transformation you desire. Just as alchemists transformed base metals into gold, you too can transmute your most difficult experiences into wisdom, strength, and purpose. This journey is not easy, but it is possible, and every step you take toward healing is a step toward becoming the best version of yourself. Whether you're facing nigredo with courage, reflecting on albedo with clarity, or emerging into rubedo with determination, you're writing a new story for yourself, and that story is full of possibilities. Before we say goodbye, I want to invite you to continue this journey with me. If this video touched something within you and you want to receive more content that can help you grow and evolve, subscribe to the channel. Each video here is designed to inspire reflection and transformation, and I would be honored to accompany you on this journey. Just click the subscribe button below. Ready? Great. Finally, remember this message. Gold is not born ready. It is shaped by fire. You too can shine through life's storms. Start today, one step at a time.